Hi, I'm Prof. Johnny. Welcome to Goodwill Training and Assessment Center Incorporated. May kasabihan tayo, nasa Diyos ang awa, nasa tao ang gawa. So ano pa hinihintay natin? Tara na at gawa na tayo! Today, I'm going to cut 60 degrees thread by the use of lathe machine. But before that, let us review first what I did in my last tutorial video about setting up the lathe for cutting 60 degrees thread. I already mounted the workpiece, positioned the compound rest at 29 degrees, mounted the tool holder and the tool bit perpendicular to the axis of the work by the use of thread center gauge and the automatic feed lever already in neutral position, and tested this split nut lever. Okay, and I set up 3mm thread pitch in the quick change gearbox. Before I forget, the quick change gearbox is designed to quickly set up the various gears to obtain the correct pitch for thread cutting. And it differs in design for every brand and model of a lathe machine. That is why I also demonstrated in my last tutorial video on how to set up the required pitch of thread, both in millimeter and inch threads, in some brands and models of a lathe machine that are available in our training and assessment center for you to know. And of course, the spindle speed was also set up with low RPM, 4 times slower than the speed used for ordinary turning. Okay? Now, thread cutting is one of the most exciting turning operations. And if you remember, I also mentioned that the most exciting method of producing thread is by the use of a lathe, because the thread can be customized. And just like when you are driving a car with manual transmission, it involves coordination of the hands and the foot in the manipulation of the lathe parts while performing threading operation. But it requires strict attention to the operation being performed. Now let's begin. The procedure in cutting 60 degrees thread by the use of lathe machine is as follows. First step, check that the diameter of the work to be threaded is 0.05 millimeter undersize. Okay, so the diameter of the work is 23.95 millimeter. Step number 2, mark the length to be threaded by cutting a light groove with the threading tool bit. Okay, andito na. Step number 3, chamfer the end of the work with the side of the threading tool. The chamfer should be slightly deeper than the thread to be cut. Okay, so the depth of thread I'm going to cut is 1.62 millimeter. So lalaliman ko ng bahagya ang chamfer. Okay, chamfer na. Step number 4. Move the carriage until the point of the cutting tool is near the right hand end of the work. Okay. Ilapit ko sa dulo ng workpiece. Then number 5, turn the cross-feed handle until the threading tool is close to the diameter, but stop when the handle is at the 3 o'clock position. So ito. Okay, halos dikit ang nose ng toolbit sa workpiece, pero dapat ang handle natin is in 3 o'clock position. Okay, ito, 3 o'clock position. Step number 6, hold the crossfeed handle in this position and set that graduated collar to 0. Okay, so i-set natin sa 0. Yan. Number 7, turn the compound rest handle until the threading tool lightly marks the work and set the compound rest collar to 0. Okay, bago natin perform step number 7 para magkaroon ng light ring cut around the workpiece, pwede natin lagyan ng blue dye around the workpiece para mas kita mamaya ang mark natin together with the tip of the threads. Okay. Now, i-fit ko na yung compound rest handle natin clockwise para magkaroon ng light ring cut. Ayan. Meron na. Nakasiro na rin ang compound rest graduated collar. The next step, move the carriage to the right until the toolbit clears the end of the work. Okay, dadalhin ko ng toolbit natin sa right side end of the work. Yan. Okay, next step, feed the compound rest clockwise about 0.1 millimeter. So 0.1 is equivalent to 2 graduation. Yan. The next step, engage the split knot lever on the correct line of the thread chasing dial and take a trial cut along the length to be threaded. Okay, this is the thread chasing dial. Tanggalin ko muna para makita natin. Okay. This column represents the pitch of threads in millimeters. Ayan, lahat dito. Then, this column represents the worm gear with the number of teeth. Ayan. And this column represents the dial with the letters. So, this is the worm gear. So, dapat yung column na ito, in line with that required pitch, which is 3 mm, ay makikita natin yung required number of teeth of the worm gear. Ito yung naka-engage sa lead screw. Na kapag umikot ang lead screw, ay iikot din to kasabay ang dial. This is the dial. Okay? So, tingnan natin yung number of teeth ng worm gear. So, pwedeng 13 teeth, 14 teeth, 15 teeth, and 22 teeth. So, tingnan natin. So, this is 14 teeth. Okay? Then, on this column, which is letter O, A, B, C, or D, E, F, represent the letter of the graduated dial, this one, which indicates when the split knot lever should be engaged. Okay? So, ito yung split knot lever natin. So, i-mount natin. I-engage natin yung worm gear dito sa lead screw. Then, ilock natin tong screw dito sa chasing dial. Yan. Okay? So, umiikot na yung dial dahil naka-engage na yung worm gear dito sa lead screw. Okay? So, let's perform a light trial cut along the length to be threaded. So, tingnan nyo ito. Okay? Yung letter na kung saan itatapat natin dito sa indexing line, dito sa 0, ay pwedeng letter O, A, B, and C. So, nandito sila. Okay? So, pagka tapat na yung, let's say, letter O dito sa indexing line, saka natin ibababa itong split knot lever. Okay? So, timing dapat. Ibaba ko natin yung letter A. Okay? So, ito na yung light cut natin. Then, at the end of the thread, i-release ko itong cross slide para lumayo yung toolbit natin. Then, saka ko iaangat ang split knot lever para mag-disengage yung split knot sa loob at saka yung lead screw. Okay? Stop the machine. Then next step, at the end of the cut, turn the cross feed handle counterclockwise to move the toolbit away from the work and disengage the split knot lever. So, yun na yung pinerform ko, okay? Nilayo ko yung toolbit. Then, kagad-agad, kasunod nito ay disengage ko yung split knot lever. The next step, stop the lathe and check the pitch of the threads with a thread pitch gauge. If the pitch of the threads produced by the trial cut is not correct, check the quick change gearbox setting. So, i-check na natin yung na-produce nating light cut para sa pitch ng thread by the use of screw pitch gauge. Iset natin yung 3.0 sa millimeter. Ayan. 3.0. Then, ilapat natin dito sa light cuts na na-produce. Ayan. Okay. Tumama lahat yung thread pitch gauge natin dito sa groove na na-produce natin sa workpiece. So, that means, yung naset natin sa quick change gearbox ay tama. Okay? Now, before performing the next step, it is good to take several trial passes without cutting in order to get the feel of the machine. Sa Tagalog, kapain at gamayin muna ang makina bago natin pakainan ang workpiece. Okay, so practice muna tayo. Tingnan nyo ang coordination ng aking dalawang kamay. Ang kaliwa ay nakahawak dito sa cross feed handle at ang kanan dito sa split knot lever. Okay? Pagdating sa left side end ng thread, yung toolbit, ay pipihitin ko ang cross feed handle counterclockwise para ilayo ang toolbit sa workpiece. Kasunod ang kanang kamay para iangat ang split knot lever to disengage the split knot and the lead screw. Okay? Tingnan nyo. So, wala mo nang kain, ha? Tingnan nyo din tong thread casing dial. Okay? Kahit saang letter A, B, C, O. Kahit saan na basta tumapat dito sa indexing line, saka ko i-engage itong split knot lever. Okay? Yan. Okay, tingnan nyo itong kaliwang kamay ko. Pagdating ng toolbit sa left side end of the work, pipihitin ko siya counterclockwise para lumayo ang toolbit sa workpiece. At tingnan nyo rin kasunod ang kanang kamay ko para i-release yung split knot lever. Ayan. Okay? Okay? Then, ibalik ko ang toolbit sa starting point. Again, sa 3 o'clock position, itong cross slide handle. Then, tingnan nyo uli yung chasing dial. Okay, i-engage ko na. Yan. Okay. Nag-move na uli ang carriage para kumain dapat ang toolbit sa workpiece. Pero practice muna tayo. Kaya walang kain. Tingnan nyo ulit ko mga kamay ko. Nandiyan na yung toolbit sa dulo. Release. Okay. Nauuna ng split second yung pag-release ko ng cross feed handle dito sa pag-release ko ng split knot lever. Okay? Okay. So, nagamay ko na. Pakain na tayo. Go back to the starting point. Yan, yung toolbit natin nandun sa dulo ng workpiece, pagitan ng live center at ng workpiece. Then, iset ko na sa 0 itong cross slide handle. Yan. Then, mag-feed na uli ako dito sa compound rest handle. Yan. Hanggang 0.5 para may konting roughing cut tayo. Then, tingnan nyo uli itong chasing dial natin. Iseset ko sa letter A. Yan. Tingnan nyo yung toolbit. Kakain na. So, nasundan uli yung first groove na nakainan ng light cut natin. Yung first trial cut. Okay. Then, tingnan nyo. I-release ko ang toolbit. Yan. Then, go back to the starting point. Yan, tingnan nyo yung toolbit uli, lampas sa dulo ng workpiece, bago dumating sa live center. Then, set up the cross slide handle to 0. Mag-feed uli ako sa compound rest handle. At least 0.1, 0.2, 0.25 mm or 5 graduations. Yan. Okay? Ayan, kumakain na uli ang toolbit. Lumalalim na yung thread natin. Then, tingnan nyo yung pag-release ko ulit. Iyan. Kasunod ang split knot lever. Paulit-ulit natin gawin to hanggang ma-attain yung required depth of thread, which is 1.62 mm for the 3 mm thread pitch. Okay, 0. Then 0.25. Then engage the split knot lever. Tingnan nyo yung chasing dial. Iyan. Okay, so nakainan uli yung first groove natin. Tumatama lagi kasi tama yung timing ko sa split knot lever dun sa chasing dial. Okay. Balik ulit. Then, 0. Kapag sumobra ka sa 0, huwag mo ituloy yan. I-reverse natin ulit. Counterclockwise. Then, iset ulit sa 0. Okay? Sa compound rest naman, 0.25 ulit. Then, engage. Okay, malapit na sa dulo. I-release ko na ang cross slide under counterclockwise. Okay. Tuloy pa natin. 0. Then, 0.25. Then, engage the split knot lever. Iyan. So, nakahawak lang ako sa cross slide hand wheel at saka sa split knot lever para ready na ako pagka nandun na yung toolbit sa dulo. Iyan. Kaya kailangan yung strict attention, okay? At saka yung coordination ng mga kamay. Pati pa, kapag ang method natin ay reverse forward method sa threading. Okay? So, malapit na tayo sa depth ng thread, which is 1.62. Okay, this time, medyo light feed lang tayo. 0.15 lang muna. Dahil malapit na tayo makatapos. Okay, kunwari, mali yung timing mo. Pwede mong i-release agad yung split knot lever. Huwag mo itutuloy. Kundi, mabubura lahat yung ipinathread. Kunwari, mali timing natin sa chasing dial na ibaba mo. Okay? Alanganin, i-release mo agad para hindi tuloy-tuloy yung carriage natin o yung toolbit. Okay, letter A. Yan. Medyo numipis na yung cutting natin. Okay. Hinto ko saglit. So, take note, since naka-angle tayo sa compound rest ng 29 degrees, so magiging feed natin sa compound rest handle is 1.85 mm. Pero ang actual ng depth of cut na mapoproduce is 1.62 mm. Okay? So, kita nyo dito sa graduated collar ng compound rest, malapit na 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 graduations na lang. Okay? Feed na ulit tayo. Na very light, at least 2 grad. Then, okay, tuloy natin. Okay. Zero. Then, 1 grad muna. Okay, this is the last feed in the compound rest to complete the depth of the thread, which is 1.62 millimeters. But in the compound rest, we must feed it up to 1.85 millimeters since it is positioned at 29 degrees angle. So, tingnan nyo sa graduated collar ng compound rest, nakapag-feed na tayo ng 1.8. So, 0.05 na lang ang kulang natin, which is equivalent to 1 graduation on the graduated collar. So, tingnan nyo, dito tayo nagsimula kanina sa 0. Yan. Nakapag-feed na tayo ng 1.8, which is 36 graduations. Yan. So, i-feed na natin yung natitirang 1 graduation. Ayan. Pang 37 graduation. Yan. So, all in all, 37 graduations on the compound rest graduated collar equivalent to 1.85 millimeters. Okay. The next step, remove the bars from the top of the thread with a file. Ayan. Medyo pakinisin natin yung mga nakalawit na bars. Then we can use steel brass para mawala yung mga small bars. Next, check the thread with a master nut and take further cuts if necessary until the nut fits the thread freely with no end play. Okay, check natin by the use of a master nut. This is the nut. Okay, medyo masikip yung master nut natin. So, i-last cut ko siya pero wala akong feed. Hindi ako mag-feed dito sa compound rest para lang malinis natin yung mga bars. Okay? Ayan. So, hindi ako nag-feed sa compound rest pero meron pa rin kinakain yung toolbit natin. Ibig sabihin, mas makinis na ngayon yung thread natin. Okay? So, i-test na natin. Very good. Suabeng-suabe. Yan. At tingnan natin kung may alog or end play. Wala. Pero, suabe. Okay? May I request one of my trainees to check also the thread, Mr. Brian. Checkin mo nga kung suabe talaga without end play. Okay? What do you feel?
Okay, sir.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Bryle. The thread that I cut is ISO new metric threads, in which the width of the root is 0.75 millimeter wider than the width of the crest, which is 0.375 millimeter. How did I calculate? Take a look on this. Okay? Tingnan natin yung 0.75 mm na width ng root. Dito natin susukatin sa nose ng toolbit. Okay? Ayan. So that is the width of the root, which can be determined on the width of the nose of the toolbit. Okay? Dahil siya yung papasok dun sa minor diameter or the root of the thread. Now, for the crest, which is 0.375 millimeter, okay, sukatin natin. Ayan, makikita nyo dito sa uncut portion, dun sa crest ng thread, yung kulay blue. Yan. Yan. Eksakto, di ba? 0.375. Now, let's have question and answer portion. Prof. Johnny, bukod sa changing dial method, meron pa bang ibang method ng thread cutting sa lathe machine? Okay? Meron pa. Yun ang forward reverse ng spindle of the lathe. At magagamit natin ngayon ang foot brake ng lathe machine. Let's try. Now, let's try for the forward reverse method in cutting the thread. This time, ang kanang kamay ko nakahawak sa cross slide handle at ang kaliwang kamay ay dito sa carriage hand wheel at ang isa kong pa para sa foot brake. Okay? So, tingnan nyo coordination ngayon ng kamay ko kasama yung pa. Okay? Yan. Minsan lang natin i-engage ang split knot lever hanggang matapos na yung thread. Yan yung kaibahan niya sa chasing dial method. Okay? Gauge. Tingnan nyo yung kamay ko nasa cross slide handle at yung kaliwa ko ay nasa carriage hand wheel handle at ang isa kong pa nakaredy sa foot brake. Hanggang sa dulo ng thread, yan. Okay? Nauna ng bahagya ang pag-release ko sa cross slide handle, then the foot brake. So parang yung split knot lever kanina. Nauna itong cross slide handle, then release ang split knot lever. So, yun ang kapalit. Foot brake. Then, i-reverse na natin. Papunta sa starting point. So, yan na isa niyang kaibahan. Through the reverse rotation of the spindle, magre-reverse na yung carriage natin para yung toolbit natin mapunta dun sa starting point. Then, i-ready mo ulit yung foot brake. Okay. Then, feed na tayo ulit. Then, mag-feed dito. Then, forward. Okay. Then, ready na ulit. Kanang kamay sa cross slide handle. Kaliwa dito sa carriage hand wheel. At ang isang pa para sa foot brake. Okay, malapit na sa dulo. Release, foot brake. Okay, then reverse. Okay, ganun lang kasimple. Now, Prof. Johnny, ano advantage ng bawat method? Yung chasing dial method at forward-reverse method. Ang advantage ng chasing dial ay mas mabilis makabalik ang carriage natin on a toolbit sa starting point. Dahil mas mabilis ang manual movement ng carriage papunta sa starting point. Okay? Pero kung di mo kabisado o gamay ang chasing dial method at hindi tumama o hindi mo na timing ang engagement ng split knot lever, ay pumapatong yung toolbit sa ngipin ng thread at nabubura. Okay? Ang advantage ng reverse forward method ay sakto lagi yung toolbit dun sa groove ng thread. Dahil naka-steady yung half knot natin dun sa lead screw. Okay? Ang disadvantage, ang split knot at ng lead screw ay mas madaling ma-worn out dahil naka-steady sila sa isa't isa. Okay? Prof. Johnny, paano kung nawala sa setup ang toolbit natin, kinailangang i-regrind? Paano natin babalikan yung hindi pa tapos na thread? Okay? We need to reset the toolbit. Start the lathe. Engage the half knot lever or split knot lever. Yan. Then stop the machine on any part of the thread. Then, ilapat natin by the use of the cross slide hand wheel and the compound rest hand wheel. Ilapat natin yung toolbit on the right side of that thread. Yung right side ng toolbit dapat lumapat dito sa right side ng thread. Okay? Yan. Kita nyo? Lumapat na doon sa right side of the thread. Itong right side edge of the toolbit. Hindi dito sa left side, ha? Dito sa right. Yan. Then, iset natin sa 0 ang cross slide handle. Yan. Then, release. Then, release the split knot lever kung chasing dial method. Pero kung forward reverse method ay hindi na, i-reverse lang natin yung spindle of the lathe. Okay? Yan. Reverse. Hanggang dun sa starting point. Yan. Then, set natin sa 0 ang cross slide handle. Then, patakbuhin natin without setting or feeding the compound rest. Yan. Okay, so, sumakto yung toolbit natin sa groove ng thread. Okay, yan ang paraan sa pagre-reset ng toolbit. Okay? Prof. Johnny, bakit 29 degrees ang sinet mo sa compound rest at hindi 30 degrees o 0 degree? I will answer that question on my next tutorial video. So, please keep on watching. Okay?